Hi sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. Today we're making a holiday hexagon. I'm celebrating Christmas in July and I'm showing you how to make this really easy table topper. You don't have to make it for Christmas. You could make it for any holiday or every day of the week. So let's get started. For this little holiday hexagon, you're going to need 4 strips of fabric. I'm making a Christmas holiday hexagon using green and red, and all the strips are 2.5 inches wide. Cut the width of fabric. Then all you need to do is sew them together. Let's do that. I've sewn my 4 strips together and I've pressed them, and in this one I pressed toward the green away from the red. That might help me when I put my 6 wedges together. And with my ruler I put a piece of tape on the 60-degree line. You're going to need that line, and when we're cutting we're just flipping this ruler back and forth so you can see that line. And I'm going to start right here, setting that line against the edge of my strips there and trying to get as little waste as possible, but I'm going to start right here. And this I won't be able to use. Then I turn this over, again putting that 60-degree line on the edge of my fabric. And I'm meeting the point right here. So there's one of my wedges for my hexagon. Let's put that over here out of the way. Let's do another one. I flip my ruler over and I begin in the corner down here. And you can see they are going to be alternating. So I'll need 6 of these. That's 3. 4. And looks like I'm going to have a little bit of fabric left over. Let's put our little pie pieces together and see how it looks. Looks pretty festive, Christmassy. It's going to be really pretty. So I'm going to begin by putting 3 together, of course 2 at a time, and then I'll put those 3 together, and then we'll have 2 halves. So let's do that. So here's my holiday hexagon, and I have a flannel on the back, a red polka dot. I laid it on the flannel and I cut all around, leaving about 1/2 inch. I like using flannel on the back of these. They're real lightweight. You can use batting and fabric on the back if you prefer that, but I like a thinner table mat. Then I'm putting a couple pins in because I'm going to quilt these 2 layers together. I'll use a little bigger stitch, maybe a 3.5 on my machine, and I'm going to stitch through the seams, all of the seams, and then I'm going to stitch through the center of each hexagon. So I'm going to sit down and do that. I've quilted my little table mat, so all I need to do now is trim off this little bit of excess on the backing. just follow along with your table mat, your hexagon, and trim this all off, and then we'll get the binding ready. Here's my binding. It's 1 3/4 inch wide, the width of fabric, and I'm going to need more than 1 strip. So I have 2 strips, and I'll put them together like that, right sides together, and I will sew a diagonal line from point to point. And then I have a little area right here I need to chop off right here. Open it up, press that, and then we're going to add it to our hexagon here. I'm going to first lay it down on one of the sides and fold, let's see if you can see that, fold it down, a triangle down, and you'll see when we get to the end that's going to help me out. I won't need to do any more seams. So sew it down to the corner, and when you get to the corner, sew off, turn your hexagon, sew off the corner, and then fold it up and down, and you should have a little fold right here. And then start on the end and do that all the way around. Okay, we're almost at the end, adding this binding on here. I want to lay it over that fold, and I will trim so that it's a little bit longer than that triangle. I want that raw edge, I want to make sure that raw edge is totally inside, because when we roll it over we don't want anything poking out. So let's sew all the way to the end there. Then when I turn it right side out, you can see there are no raw edges showing. So we'll turn our holiday hexagon over, and we will fold that binding, put that raw edge inside, fold it over, and then I'll pin all the way around. The last thing we need to do now with our holiday hexagon is to sew the binding down. I put it on the back, I folded it over, the raw edges inside, I've pinned it all the way around, and all we need to do now is sew around. And when I get to these corners, I use my fingers and I kind of give it a nice fold there. And I'm using red thread to match the binding. Go all the way around just like that. And there it is. Our hexagon is complete. I hope you enjoyed sewing that today with me. I know I enjoyed having you here. And I'll see you next time in my sewing room.